Welcome back, everybody, and today we're taking a look at another film in the Universal Horror Monsters and Curiosities box set from Umbrella Entertainment. And this is the third and final film on this disc that we've looked at with the last couple of films, and it is 1942's Invisible Agent. Now, this is directed by Edwin L. Marin, who I've not seen anything else from before. It's an action spy film, clocking in at 81 minutes long, and stars the likes of Iona Massey, who we've talked about previously in this box set with Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. We've also got John Hall, who would go on to be in the next film in this series, The Invisible Man's Revenge, albeit in a unrelated story to this one, and that is unfortunately not in this box set. We've also got Peter Lorre, who was also in the likes of The Boogeyman Will Get You and Mad Love, as far as other kind of similar horror films go. We've also got Cedric Hardwicke. Now this is the third film to star him in this box set, after also being in the likes of The Ghost of Frankenstein and The Invisible Man Returns. And finally, you got J. Edward Bromberg, who was in a couple of horror films throughout the 1940s, like The Phantom of the Opera, the 1943 version, Son of Dracula, and one of the Inner Sanctum films, Pillow of Death. So, the Invisible Man's grandson uses his secret formula to spy on Nazi Germany. So, once again, a sequel in this series goes for an entirely different tone and genre, as the first two films were clearly sci fi horror films. Then the second sequel, which was The Invisible Woman, went for screwball comedy. And now this fourth effort is an action spy film. So now sure, that means that this isn't anywhere near as funny as the previous film, even though there are some attempts at comedy here and there, but it's much more of a serious film in terms of its tone. But the plot is also certainly more engrossing than the previous effort, while having improved effects, which certainly helps set it apart. And on top of that, you got fun action, a good cast, and overall better production value. As there is obviously several action scenes in this. There's a great deal of miniatures towards the end where a whole airfield is bombed, which is all really quite fun, especially as a fan of miniature work. And all the while, it's poking an eye in the Nazis while also making fun of them, which certainly provides some entertainment. So yeah, this was undoubtedly a propaganda film at the time, being 1942. It's set was released during World War II, while also being set during that time. But despite that, it's still a really rather fun enough effort, even if it is a little bit lightweight, given it's dealing with a war at the time. But yeah, still 3 out of 5, just as good as the previous film, even if not as good as the first two. Just like Invisible Woman wasn't as good as the first two, and yeah, the clock's in it. Like I said, 81 minutes long, so it's longer than the previous film, but as long as The Invisible Man Returns. And it's in 133 to 1 aspect ratio, once again in black and white, and also has 2.0 DTS HD MA audio and 1080p presentation. Looks and sounds perfectly really reasonable. But like the other two films on this disc, there's no trailer or other extras that are included. And yeah, English language soundtrack and English subtitles as well for the deaf and hard of hearing. So yeah, it's a decent enough effort. I just wish that The Invisible Man Returns and Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man were also included in this release, as it would have, completed the series outside of the first film. But yeah, they're not for whatever reason. So yeah, which is a little bit of a shame. So yeah, but it's still a decent enough effort. It is admirable that they tried to go in a different direction with this one and the previous film. Although with The Invisible Man's Revenge, they do switch back to sci-fi horror, and then obviously with Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man, it is pretty much full-blown comedy. So yeah, it is interesting that they switched up the kind of genres and the tone that this series would go for, whereas other film series, like The Mummy and Dracula, typically just stayed within the horror genre. So yeah, I can admire it for that. I just wish it was overall better executed. But yeah, nonetheless, like I said, 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5, which is a pretty decent score overall. So yeah, we'll probably be skipping a few of the films in this box set in the future, given that there is seemingly a few here that we might well have already looked at. I'm not 100% sure which ones I have looked at, so I can't say for definite. But I'm pretty sure I've looked at the likes of The Murders in the Rue Morgue, The Black Cat and the Raven, which all share one disc. Fairly certain we looked at The Invisible Ray and Black Friday as well. But I'm not sure if we've looked at the 1941 version of The Black Cat. I'm fairly certain we've looked at Night Monster as well as Night Key, but we haven't looked at the 1939 version of Tower of London. So yeah, it all depends which ones I've looked at in the past, but there are several here that I certainly haven't, and yeah, that just gets more of the case as we go through more of the box set. So yeah, but nonetheless, a fairly solid film. But like I said, it is a bit of a propaganda one, and surprisingly quite lightweight given it's dealing with a real-time event of the time of its release. But nonetheless, if you have seen Invisible Agent before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.